degrees track temperature, 77% humidity at the moment, but was that just a shower? There's low cloud over the mountains. I'm sure you can see that. Formation lap will now start at 9 minutes past 3. Formation laps will start at 9 minutes past 3. So we've got a little bit longer to go.
Oui, effectivement, ce sera...
There is heavy rain coming in the next couple of minutes.
Avec des pilotes qui sont également avertis de cela, avec un départ du tour de formation qui aura lieu à 15h09. Exactement, voilà, on a tout bien trouvé de manière officielle. Formation lap, le tour de formation débutera à 15h09 sur le circuit de Monaco. D'ici là, il ne reste plus qu'à prendre son impatience, bien évidemment, et à attendre les pronostics. N'hésitez pas à les faire entre vous. Je pense que beaucoup de personnes aussi en principauté attendent une victoire de Charles Leclerc. Voilà, les la phase des pilotes sera
una leggera attrazione che si è battuta poco prima della partenza alle ore 15 esatte e quindi come vi dicevo il formation lap partirà dietro al safety car, quindi attenzione, questa è la scelta della direzione gara, mi sembra un'ottima scelta al momento, le questioni di sicurezza davanti a tutti. So the formation lap will be started behind the safety car.
Yeah, Checo, so expect Bain a few laps into the race, 3 or 4 laps into the race.
So basically it probably will be fairly dry, fairly rapidly. I think the rain will be there. So that's what I'll do, start the race behind the safety car and then the safety car will fill 4 laps according to Red Bull Racing, and then we'll go racing. But it's unnecessary, I think as Bastian pointed out, unnecessary to give them extra risk, particularly these days at a cost. On choisit, et finalement on décide de changer
So basically, it's going to be formation lap behind safety car. So that means ex-wets to start.
Abbiamo, ripeto, 3 giri, forse 2, forse 4, non lo sappiamo ancora, con la safety car. Invece adesso un attimo, nuovo messaggio, procedura rinviata, ancora sospesa, start light. Torniamo ancora, la pista probabilmente non è ancora sicura, ancora sicura, e quindi bisogna stare molto
per sospendere la partenza.
Yeah, we have notice of a delayed start.
Further delayed start, Max.
What are we waiting for? For it to dry or?
We're waiting for it to make. Yeah, it's a delayed start. Perhaps they're expecting another shower of rain. As I say, there's not many. There's only 2 or 3 sets of intermediates, I think, for a weekend. This is we haven't intermediates at all yet. But yes, there is a delayed start. So give it a moment.
Effectivement, avec un départ qui est retardé, ça veut dire qu'on peut transmettre des informations. On ne peut pas les inventer de toute manière, parce que c'est n'importe côté droit. Alors, les directions négatives, les deux qui sont dans la négative, la direction est aussi très clairement
On va diviser l'angle de ce 79e rapide, et voilà, c'est pas la
Come avete visto, un po' la trazione, una forte trazione si sta battendo in questo momento, quindi la direzione gara giustamente.
Yes, just to update you again,
So this intensity will be like this for 10 minutes and then lighter for another 3 minutes. This rain intensity.
le départ sera donné sur le sud-est, ça c'est assez clair. Ça,
il y a encore pour une dizaine de minutes avec une pluie de cette intensité-là. Ensuite, la pluie va diminuer d'intensité pendant 3 minutes. Ce qui se passera après, naturellement. Mais en tout cas, on partira dans cette condition. 5-4, lors des séances d'entraînement température de la piste, température de l'air, il nous reste 22 degrés. Et velocemente avanti e dietro con i pneumatici, prima intermedi, adesso full wet, e quindi grande lavoro ancora in prossimo.
Pronti ormai quando mancano Bob 3 minuti all'inizio alla procedura del semaforo verde.
Yes, 3 minutes to go until the final formation lap. In fact, the race will start behind the safety car, so they'll pull away immediately and behind the safety car, and that will be the first lap. They'll be on the first lap. So that's in a minute 40 seconds. They'll be away. So we'll start very shortly, just looking around to see if how wet it is. Yeah, sort of wet.
Effectivement, on va y courir, mon cher Bob. Effectivement, on reste à voir l'évolution maintenant du tour de la remarqué qu'il y avait pas mal de monde tout à l'heure, ça veut dire que c'est arrivé pour rapidement repartir. Les nuages qui sont bel et bien présents au-dessus de Monaco, ça c'est clair, mais on remarque que l'intensité de la pluie diminue maintenant. C'est la raison de ce délai prolongé avant le début du cours de formation sociologique de voitures de sécurité. D'ici une minute, on va vous balancer le countdown officiel, le décompte officiel en fait en vue de ce 79e Grand Prix de Monaco. Et puis après ça,
Everyone take some deep breaths, man, and just cool down. I want everyone all panicky in this race.
I'm interested to see that the CEO of Formula One is still out in the pit lane. He's taking shelter, but he's still there. He's in the
Thank you, Steve. Good afternoon. From the most famous streets in motor racing, this race has always been the one prized above all others. It's the highest step you can climb on a single Sunday. It's the Monaco Grand Prix, where the weather is dramatically different. It has changed in the last few moments after a completely dry week. The rain arrived bang on the start time. We've had 2 delays and 2 heavy showers. The track is now completely soaked. We have a formation lap starting behind the safety car, and David Coulthard, Mark Webber, this is as hard as it gets in Formula One. Monaco in the wet.
Yeah, this, I can't, how can I put you in the cockpit? I've done 2 wet events here. Once in 96, but I never went full throttle once on the lap. Couldn't go full throttle because there was no grip. You need downforce to push the car into the road, and without speed you don't get downforce. The other one, 2008, I crashed at Casino Square. It is off the charts difficult. You know, this is like trying to walk on ice in high heels. I've never done that myself, but I imagine it must be really, really difficult.
Brutal, Alex. Yeah, absolutely. It's the concentration factor around here in the dry alone is one of the most demanding circuits of the year. But put in these slippery conditions, just keep in mind the amount of horsepower these guys have got under their right foot. The grip levels are very, very low. It is the first time this weekend the track has been wet. Very limited experience with these new regulations as well. So, my God, this is an absolute pressure cooker for these guys. Think of the visor situation, the steaming up of the helmets. There's all sorts of scenarios that can manifest themselves inside the cockpit to make your job even harder. Visibility, look at that. This is a safety car speed limit when they go racing. Very stressful.
Heavy rain now, and a lot of water generally.
Copy.
Yeah, to be honest, wetter than I thought it would be. So yeah, very, very wet at the moment.
Raining like crazy.
And so the red flag comes out. They tried to start this race. It wasn't raining as heavy as this 20 minutes ago, but the red flag comes out around the famous 2 miles of Monaco, and we will have to wait even longer before this Grand Prix begins. They delayed it to try and get a race started in raceable conditions. As you can see, we're a long way from that.
Erect instant tents over the cars if they wished it. And
I think I've never got this wet in a Formula car, ever.
There's Mick Schumacher saying, I don't think I've ever had it this wet in a Formula car ever. That means a single-seater car, any single-seater car. So, yeah, little tents being erected all over the pit lane. The car is stationary in the pit lane, and
cette épreuve qui a été interrompue, qui n'avait pas vraiment démarré de manière officielle, qui avait fait le vrai départ, qui était dans le tour de formation, dans le but de formation derrière voiture de sécurité. Les pilotes qui ne voyaient pas grand-chose, et les commentaires des uns et des autres étaient assez informatifs à ce sujet, malheureusement. Et regardez.
this race, Chris.
de tours de formation aussi mobilisés sur la zone de départ. Donc voilà, on restera attentif à tout cela. Dès que voilà, la course.
Very good. So we're in a bit of a clear band now. It does look like there could be some rain later on.
Replonger dans la bise, bien évidemment. On a vu qu'ils essayaient de s'isoler lorsqu'ils étaient hors de voiture, dans les garages, dans les box et tout. Et là, ils sont de retour avec...
Daniel, we do expect more rain, but it's a little bit confused at the moment. So, Daniel, there's a dead zone in the radar. Rain entered that about 5 minutes ago, and we can't see yet whether it's going to come out this side. So, it could be rain in 5-7 minutes' time.
Okay.
One hour later than planned. Let's try it again. We have had intermittent rain, we've had dry spells, but race control, for whatever reason, have waited to 64 minutes after we were originally meant to take the formation lap. There's been plenty of criticism for how this has been handled, but now, at last, on track, we await that green light, and this will count again. As per the regulations, it will take one lap off the 78 that we had originally. So we did one lap, we red flagged it, they leave the pit lane again. They must all be, due to the regulations, on that full wet tyre. But the sun is shining over the harbour, the track though completely soaked. And finally we have some action on the racetrack to bring you on a day where it really could go anyone's way. Charles Leclerc will be under huge pressure when he eventually gets the signal to go once again. But I've got to ask you, gentlemen, an hour's delay to proceedings. What do you make of what we've seen across the last 65 minutes?
This is a shocker. There was no reason why this race couldn't have got underway in the beginning. They've been trying to predict the rain coming in, and they've tried to then control that start point, and we've just lost an hour. Yes, when the downpour came, then we could have gone full safety car, they could have suspended the race, but this is not a great day for race direction.
Yeah, these are the best drivers in the world, Alex, and you have to race in all conditions. You have to compete on all different types of circuits. They go through the junior categories, they've done their apprenticeship, and these guys are cut out for these types of challenges, and I think that DC's bang on. They have made a bit of a meal of this. Finally, we're going to get underway here very soon. It's not raining in the tunnel, so that's a relief. But anyway, pressure's on Charles. He would want it to be dry. It's not. He's going to step up now and maximum composure.
So we've got a maximum race time now of an hour and 53 minutes as it stands. It's a 3-hour window from the moment that the race is meant to start. That's a regulation that changed in the last couple of years. The only Grand Prix that's gone over that in recent times was the 2011 Canadian Grand Prix, which took 4 hours to, and unbelievably, under the safety car, Nicholas Latifi has found the wall, and the Canadian driver has now found reverse, and it's going to be one of those days in Monte Carlo.
Yeah, incredible. Incredible.
Gaetan, the car just didn't turn. I just crashed into the hairpin.
Oh, contact as well for the Aston.
That was Stroll.
Well, it's showing that the track is so slick because we've had buses and cars and party people. Everyone uses this track when it's not under racing conditions, and of course you built up rubber over the weekend. Rubber on rubber and rubber, put in a bit of wet, and then what we're seeing. It is difficult.
A little touch on the front right, just check.
Copy, we're checking.
It's okay.
Yeah, copy. So you've got a right rear puncture,
Both Canadian drivers on the first lap out of the pits, finding the Armco.
Those guys should be used to it. They live in like -30 for most of the winter, don't they?
I thought you were going to say used to crashing.
Oh, that as well.
The safety car will enter the pits. This is at the jurisdiction of the race director. Could have been a standing start, could have been a rolling start. He has opted for a rolling start, and when two cars have gone off on what is essentially a formation lap, you can understand why. And this is now so difficult for Charles Leclerc. All he wanted was a bone-dry race.
It's definitely slippery out here, but the track's good.
Hamilton, ever the racer, he wants to go. He wants to go racing. He knows the risk is the same for everyone, but this is opportunity for him to shine.
Yeah, in the dry conditions, Hamilton's form, and it was the big four really that we were looking at. Leclerc and Sainz, Ferrari with their first front row lockout here since 2017. Perez, the lead Red Bull, ahead of Verstappen. Norris also absolutely exemplary in these conditions. He's proved it before in Formula One. And then Russell, Alonso and Hamilton. The top 10 completed by Vettel and Ocon. And it's a day where those in the top four can only see things slip through their fingers. If you're outside of the top four, you know that there's a massive opportunity here. It's going to be a rolling start. He cannot overtake until the start-finish line. And Charles Leclerc, who does not have many wet weather performances that you can really write home about, needs the race of his life in these conditions. There's going to be a big question about when they dive in for intermediate tyres. Right now, they're all on full wets, and this is going to be precarious stuff. The green flag is finally flying, and you see Leclerc squirming all over the road as he gets the power down. We're racing on the streets of Monte Carlo.
Yeah, it's struggling even in a straight line to control the car. The start-finish straight isn't straight. There isn't anywhere straight on this track. Let's see if they all make it round the first lap.
So they make their way up the hill, Beau Rivage now into Massenet corner, where we've already seen one car off on a formation lap. And this is the definition of difficult for our race leader, who is just having to guess where the grip is, if there's any out there.
Yeah, this is about long game. The guys at the front are going to take that long game. We've got the Aston in there for a tyre change. We've got, almost an unsafe release. He's gone to the inters. That is, well, brave move. Let's see if he can switch the tyre temperatures on.
Okay, so looking out there on the racetrack, we've got Leclerc and Sainz on the full wet weather tyres. Perez and Verstappen listed as being on the intermediates at this moment in time, and Bottas is on the intermediate, so is Joe, so is Gasly. We'll have a look at whether that's the case and whether that's an error from the graphic. Charles Leclerc leads from his teammate as it stands on lap 3 of 77.
Absolute lottery conditions for these guys. You know, some of the guys are rolling the dice with the intermediate already because they really haven't got a great deal to lose, so they might as well try and bang those on, see if they can wake them up and get some sort of grip, because there's not a huge amount of standing water out there at the moment, so it might be a tyre that can handle these conditions. Ferrari will want to sort of just lay the foundations here, get a bit of a feel for this, and try and eke out a bit of a gap before they have to make a crucial decision crossing to the Inter.
I want to correct what's on the screen. It is not the intermediate tyre for the Red Bull, so that would have been a mistake with the regulations. It's a graphics error from what I think we saw at the Rascas. Everyone on full wets, apart from those who dived in at the end of the first racing lap.
Yeah, well, on board with Max Verstappen, and he, more than ever in his career, realises the importance of seeing the checkered flag this afternoon. And let's just explain a little bit on the difference between the wet tyre and the intermediate. You're absolutely right, Mark. The Inter can handle these conditions, no question. What the full wet does give you, though, is a deeper block. It gives you more movement in that block, and therefore it means getting the heat and temperature into the tyre, which is crucial for grip, is so much easier. So let's just take a look at the timing screens to try and understand whether the intermediate is getting any sort of tyre temperature.
I'll tell you a driver who is generating tyre temperature. We highlighted him before we got the green flag out there. Lando Norris, fastest first sector for the driver who's been dealing with tonsillitis. He didn't even know if he was going to be racing here in the middle of the week, but he is currently very, very comfortable as they find a little bit of respite from the slippery conditions in the tunnel before being exposed to it once again. No change of position in the top 16, so everyone doing what David was talking about a few moments ago and just playing the long game. It's going to get interesting further back, though. We're looking at the Alpha there. That's going to be Joe, who is racing further back. Let's just see what he is able to do. Is that Valtteri Bottas? No, it's Valtteri Bottas. He's ahead of Kevin Magnussen. So Bottas, who's out there as well, and Bottas is on the full wet, not the Inter.
Let us know conditions when you can.
It's definitely slippery, and it's drying pretty quick, I'll say.
Okay, so Lewis reporting back in that it's drying. It's all relative. It's obviously the track is not dry yet, but he's talking about the standing water as we go to a replay with Pierre Gasly nearly dropping it down the hill to Mirabeau there. Quite challenging. He's got the Inter on. This is what he's trying to do. Look at that front right pinching. He cannot get this tyre to work at the moment.
No more rain for the next 20 to 30 minutes.
Okay, Schumacher, Gasly and Latifi have pitted for Inters. It doesn't look particularly easy though, and they are no quicker than Stroll, who pitted for a wet and has clear air.
How are conditions, Max?
Drying, but still a bit tricky on these tyres.
Charles Leclerc has built a 3-second lead at the moment, and he's just easing his way to what will be a crucial pit stop window where the top four will have to come in get an intermediate tyre and then push on. George Russell has been pushing on. He's missed the apex of the Nouvelle chicane. He's 1.5 seconds behind Lando Norris, who is not as fast, really, as the track begins to dry. We're on board with Russell. This is going to be the moment. There he is, over the road at the chicane, backs out of it and rejoins.
Yeah, he thought about it. He can get away with that 2 or 3 times max. He certainly can't gain any time. He's got his lap delta on the dash, so he knows just to throttle it back and not gain an advantage in that sector.
So George Russell trying to be best of the rest. He said after Friday practice, we've got to watch out for Lando, and Lando proved him right. Desperately try any wide moment away from the racing line. Going to be in treacherous territory. Perez is just on the fastest first sector of the race so far.
Lando, Russell's been told to push up to you. Plan B, plan B. I'm 100% pace, mate.
Yeah. Okay. Well, what does that tell us plan B was then? If he's 100% pace, it would suggest that he thought he had a bit in hand and that he could start to push and be a bit more aggressive on the tyre. And those full wets will take a hammering, not only through the kink in the middle of the tunnel, which of course is completely dry, but just actual rolling resistance. It's the highest speed section of the racetrack, and the amount of energy and friction that goes on that inner shoulder of the full wet tyre, that's where you start to then burn through the rubber.
Fastest lap of the Grand Prix goes the way of Charles Leclerc. So diving to the inters sometimes make you look like a hero, but the full wet in the hands of those out front is still the most capable tyre at this moment in time.
Yeah, it looks to me, again, Sainz 37.1, 36.5 for his teammate. It's like Sainz is just backing up and just pushing the Red Bulls further back, and we've got Leclerc now, if he was to pit, would get out potentially just in front of Hamilton.
Sainz, who changed his gearbox as a precaution, but it's still part of the allocation, so that was done without penalty. Gasly's speed being limited at the moment by the rookie driver ahead of him, Zhou Guanyu, and the Chinese driver is in 14th position. Gasly on those inters, the lead driver on the intermediate tyre. Gasly, if you look further back, finds himself 46 seconds off the lead of the race, and that is the margin. You need about 21 seconds for a pit stop. We've got a yellow flag in the first part of the racetrack as the drying line begins to emerge at different parts.
Huge lap from Leclerc this lap. He is absolutely trouncing his teammate in this section of the Grand Prix. He looks very comfortable. He's trying to build a bit of a buffer around what could be a very, very important pit stop on the horizon, even just in the middle sector, DC, 9/10 down the road. Let's have a look at the end of the lap. A 36.2 for Carlos. For Leclerc. He's not on camera at the moment, but just see where they cut the beam there. So 6/10. So it's yeah, he's chipping away that lead, and the traction of the intermediates. Look how good they look, Alex. They're super grippy. They're actually outperforming the full wet right now, but he's got nowhere to go.
The pendulum has swung the way of Pierre Gasly, a driver who's been in Q3 here in the past 3 occasions. He's always scored points when he's raced at Monaco, going out in the first part of qualifying yesterday, started 17th in the order today, but he's gambled early on for intermediates, and his chance of points might be revived by that. Personal best laps for many in the field now as the track begins to dry. Can Gasly force his way by and take a position away from Zhou Guanyu as we get another yellow flag? And who has gone off the road there deep? It's Alexander Albon, who has gone wide in the Williams, and he tumbles down the order deep into Sandevot.
Yeah, rejoined just behind the Aston. That's cost him some space, but you can see the dry line appearing, and the wets now are overheating. So it surely can't be long before Gasly can get the pass done. Zhou making his car as wide as it can be.
I think we're going to see some action now, boys. Look at the hairpin. It's really starting to dry back. The race is going to come alive right now. The mechanics are going to start to get nervous. They can see that the intermediates are the tie to be on. The last sector is actually the wettest, but this end of the circuit is certainly ready for an inter.
It is indeed, but meanwhile Charles Leclerc continues to light up the timing screens. Clear air ahead of him.
Yeah, confident right now, and fastest lap once again of a 1:35.3 last time around to the track. Beginning to dry very, very quickly, and there's the deep moment for Joe, who does what George Russell did a few moments ago, and Gasly will be frustrated with this because he is being caught all the time by Vettel, who's eating into his advantage. So Gasly went early, made the tyre work, but Monaco is notoriously difficult for this exact reason, and even though it's old wet tyres against more effective intermediates, he's not able to find his way by, and that's going to be a wide moment because Joe put a wheel on a puddle there coming through the Rascasse. Gasly tucked right underneath him. Ferrari have spaced this out really nicely with their two drivers. Big opportunity for them to double stack now because the gap is at 5.2 seconds. You could bring both cars in on the same lap, and if you had a good pit stop, you can service both of them, put them both on intermediates without the pain of doing an extra 2 miles around Monaco.
Yeah, that's absolutely vital because when the magic moment comes, you do not want to lose a lap. Look how dry it is at Casino Square.
And Gasly will be pulling his hair out through here. This is perfect intermediate conditions, and look how tight he's trying to run out. He's going to have a nibble here.
He's going to have a go.
So that's our first,
finally.
Yep, first genuine passing move of the Grand Prix in terms of position, and watch him go now. He is absolutely, he just steamed into the hairpin first time on his own and actually overcooked it a little bit, but he'll be quick now, and this will actually also give more indication to the people ahead, an intermediate car in free air, what this car can do.
Drink it in, overtaking at Monaco, and now they're really beginning to push because now Gasly's proven that you can get past. That's how big the delta is, the difference between the intermediate and the wet tyre. The dry line is being occupied by the top four, really pushing on. At the moment, Charles Leclerc has 21 seconds over George Russell, so is that a window that he could drop in? They ideally want 20 seconds over the car in 5th place, which is this man's teammate Lando Norris. That's what they're waiting for. Ricciardo really driving on his mirrors, but crucially staying ahead.
Yeah, but this can only be a matter of time. He knows he's under big pressure.
He's definitely there now.
Okay, copy, Checo.
Yeah, we're going to see some activity in the pit lane, I'm pretty sure. I've got an eye on the top 3 teams.
Hamilton's gone deep at the Nouvelle chicane. Let's see, at that same chicane, a few moments later, whether Pierre Gasly, winner of one Formula 1 Grand Prix, that was Monza a couple of years ago, he does not have the momentum to use out of the tunnel and into that part of the racetrack, but under traction, can he shape for a move into back? He'd be brave if he tried it into there. Things better of it, tucks back in. And, oh, look at this, under traction coming out at the back. He's made the move, and Sergio Perez is not wrong. It is definitely time for Inters now. The driver in 17th position in the field at the rolling start finds himself up to 12th.
They should be all in now. This is absolutely Inters all day long. Gasly's doing the moves on the track. He's got the speed. Guys, this is not wet conditions now. I think we're going to see the next 2 laps, a lot of activity in the pit lane.
Well, let's just keep an eye on Leclerc's coming through the chicane, so if he wants to be the first, then he's got about 12 or so seconds to make that decision.
Go straight to dry.
Okay, understood.
no rear for some reason.
So that time is still not looking too bad. Let's just do everything we can.
You're looking at Valtteri Bottas on the wet, being chased by Kevin Magnussen on the same tyre, and they're both being put under huge pressure by the driver who's on the right rubber. He took the pain earlier on, he kept them in the tyre temperature window, and now he's trying to overtake at Monaco to improve to the points.
Really hard decision, guys. There's 4 corners that are wet. The rest of the track is pretty much a slick. Watch him in here, Gasly. He loves this. Look how dry it is. That is absolutely the tyre to be on. Even a slick through there, to be fair. It's all through here. He's going to go very shallow on the exit. He likes to get a good drive out of here. Look how low he tries to go to get to the inside as Leclerc goes for another lap.
Red Bull in the pit lane.
Yep. So Red Bull are going to pull the trigger on one of their drivers. It is a slick tyre. No, it's an Inter. Sorry, is it? What have we got?
Yeah, it's an Inter.
It's an Inter.
Yes,
it is an Inter, so they're not going for the slick. In comes Sergio Perez, who will find out whether he can cope on this rubber as well as he was doing in the wet. He has been the lead Red Bull so far this weekend. This is going to be a tough outlap, though.
Yeah, that's such a tough decision as well, because it isn't that far, as you say, Mark, but the team, they know the tyres, they've obviously tested in these conditions before. Just look at the pit out. How damp is it there? Because that's the key thing. If it's damp there, you can't get the tyre switched on.
Not too bad. I mean, it's damp, but he looked like he had reasonable grip.
He's come out behind Lando Norris, in front of George Russell, and now he's just hoping to try and find the dry part of the racetrack as much as possible. Play himself in, see if the balance is the same on this tyre. Hamilton set the fastest middle sector of the race so far. We're looking at the never-ending story of Bottas keeping Magnussen and Gasly behind. And this is the Monaco Grand Prix. We are really seeing this much action.
Push in lap. The Perez in 4 Inters, push in lap.
I'm not sure it's the right call. It's nearly ready for dry, yeah?
Okay,
nearly ready for dry.
Back to you.
I don't think it's the right thing to do.
Well, the team are coming out. Red Bull coming out as well. So, okay, battle of the Braves, and they're bringing both slicks and Inters.
Oh, back in.
Oh, the Ferrari boys are going back in again with the Inters.
Back in with the Inters. They're going to listen to their driver. Carlos Sainz has called for slick tyres.
Stay out, stay out.
Oh, consternation down in the Scarlet pit lane. This could decide things. They've wandered back into the box.
So did Red Bull. They came out and then they've gone back in.
Norris is coming in for Inters. You see McLaren across the commentary box here, so they're going to service him for a set of Inters. They're going for relatively safe call at this point in the race for the Inter.
Yeah, they've just run out of tyres, haven't they, on the wet, so that's forced their hands. Look how wet the pit lane is. That's the problem if you go to the slick. You lose tyre temperature.
I think my front wing's broken.
So we saw Mick Schumacher earlier on kissing the barrier. Maybe it has happened again. We did see a yellow flag out for a flash. Could have been for him. And reporting that his front wing might be broken. So we'll keep an eye on that, and that's very tight between Esteban Ocon and Lewis Hamilton. Hamilton trying to improve on the Inter tyre. Fastest driver on track at the moment, but his race nearly came undone at Sandoval.
Yeah, he backed out of it, didn't he? He thought about it. The contact was made.
Just turned in on me, man. I don't know if my wing's busted.
He's definitely damaged the little turning vanes on the front wing. He will not be happy about that, but he had the car alongside and then started to back out of it. Ferrari in the pit lane again.
It's Charles Leclerc being told to come into the pits. Red Bull going to mirror it as well. Red Bull have brought the intermediate tyre
Yep, Inters for both of them.
Will Red Bull double stop?
In comes the race leader, Charles Leclerc, stops on his marks, takes on a set of the intermediate tyre, they're marking each other up at the moment, and Carlos Sainz leads the Grand Prix.
Yeah. It's just to cover off Perez, isn't it? I mean, to do the same thing, you can't lose the race on the road, you at least do the same thing. So
and there goes Perez, there goes Perez. So he flashes through. Sergio Perez set the fastest lap of the race by an absolute country mile on those intermediate tyres, and by bringing the Mexican driver in, he has vaulted ahead of Charles Leclerc. Carlos Sainz leads, but going early for the intermediate tyre, Sergio Perez has made it work, and the driver who has one podium finish around here now has the net race lead, unless Carlos Sainz gets what he wants and goes straight to the slick tyre.
Yeah. It wasn't early, boys. It was late. I mean, it was completely into conditions, and that's what Perez made the right call. The rest of them, in my mind, were just sleeping. The Ferrari let Red Bull get that track position now. Let's see what Carlos Sainz does in terms of tyre. This will be fascinating.
So last time around, Sergio Perez did a 1:25.2. The race leader did a 1:32.0, and that is where he found a mountain of time on the outlap. Said it was going to be difficult. Once he fired up those tyres, it wasn't difficult. He was streets ahead. Now Charles Leclerc's heart will sink because he dealt with really difficult conditions. Here's Hamilton on the radio.
Sick, man. He just put me in the warm run. I don't know if the car's damaged now, dude.
Okay, copy. May have picked up a little bit from end plate damage, but it looks okay.
So I think that is the second part of what we heard earlier on. So there's not another incident there as Perez goes through. Sainz is continuing out there at the moment. He's got an advantage of 6.6 seconds, and surely he is committed to going to the slick tyre. Surely he's all in on what he's been calling for lap after lap.
Yeah, but he's also all in to come out behind Verstappen.
So he's going to have to skip a stage if he's going to have any relevance for the remainder of the race. And Sergio Perez, after getting loud on the radio 1 week ago saying, why have I not got the chance to win this Grand Prix? Well, he's got a chance to win this one because he is ahead of Charles Leclerc, and crucially, Leclerc is between him and his teammate. Round two between Hamilton and Ocon to Saint-Devote, and he's waiting, and now applying the power with greater grip.
And damage.
The front wing damage you can see there on the end plate. He'll be frustrated. It is difficult following round here, but yeah, I think that Sainz, if he can make this crossover work, he is in the pound seat, assuming a clean race to the end to win this Grand Prix.
Carlos Sainz has never won a Grand Prix. The driver with the most victories in the history of the sport is chasing down Esteban Ocon, and he is getting increasingly impatient at having to do so with a broken end fence of that front wing. Daniel Ricciardo has come into the pit along with Zhou Guanyu, along with Nicholas Latifi. Who's going to be the first one to jump on as Hamilton thinks about the move into the tunnel and then has to remember that could be a race ruiner. Tucks back in, and was that the debris?
Yeah, bit of end plate just went off in the tunnel, so is that enough for some sort of neutralising of the race? Will they think, you can see just the debris, the end of his end plate, as we have our first slick runner.
He's gone onto the hard tyres. That's the hardest slick tyre to fire up, so super tough now. We need to go on board with the Australian to see whether he can make that outlap work. Ocon is clinging on at the moment. Hamilton's had enough. Can he go around the outside? If it's a traction race, he's going to win it, but he's got no momentum, and Ocon still keeps the 7-time world champion behind. Sainz only leads by 4 seconds now.
Has any of his moves been investigated?
Nothing at the moment, Lewis.
Right on the edge here for me. He's moving around a lot. Fair enough, there's a few laps to go, but tell you what, we're only 20 laps into this thing, and Lewis will be absolutely furious with how a bit over the top, I think, in terms of his defence is around the tight streets of this circuit.
Well, it's costing him so much in lap times. He's in the 130s. Those on the Inters are in the 128s right now. He's losing so much pace compared to what he could be showing on the intermediate tyre, even with the damage to the car. And Carlos Sainz now is
hard tyre.
Going to slicks.
Hard tyre.
He's going to get his wish. The Spaniard gets his wish. If he can make this work, he's got a chance to win his first Grand Prix today.
And Charles behind him.
Stay out.
And they are indeed. Here comes the former race leader, the man trying to retake the championship lead today. Ferrari correcting the error, and they have double stacked the cars. They believe that's the way to go.
Did I hear them saying stay out though? So is that a misunderstanding?
You lost time. Watch this pit exit though, boys. Watch the inside here on the slicks.
Is he able to apply the power? Okay, that's Carlos Sainz. And Sainz now really needs the outlap of his life. And there is Charles Leclerc. And that was a miscommunication, and it's a miscommunication that has cost him a chance. He was leapt in the first round of stops by Perez. He's now behind his teammate, he's now behind Lando Norris, and it has all fallen apart again on a miscommunication.
Okay, now we find ourselves Perez, Verstappen, clean air ahead. Are they going to now cover the bases? The team are coming out.
They are.
They'll double stop. If they think it's the right decision to get track position, they'll bring both cars in.
Okay, let's look at the gap right now. Verstappen does have the margin that he needs over his championship rival, but he needs a clean stop. Sergio Perez, does he duck in? Yes, he does. In comes the race leader. The race leader that he took by going to those intermediate tyres and putting in a roaring lap.
Verstappen's going to lose some time unless they do unbelievable stop.
Hard tyres on, the Mexican driver's car, he's the lead car. Verstappen knows he's got a chance to leap ahead of Charles Leclerc if it's quick. Is it quick at this moment in time? Sainz might have the margin to go past. They're racing down to turn number 1. Can Red Bull aim for another 1-2 in the race? Look for the Scarlet Ferrari. Where is the Scarlet Ferrari? Sainz is making his way to Saint Devote. Sainz is going to apply the power, and yet, it's Perez who gets ahead of...
Wait up the hill.
There we go. So Perez is
over the yellow. He might get a penalty for that.
And there you go, there is Charles Leclerc. There is Charles Leclerc in the wheel tracks of Verstappen, but Verstappen went over the yellow line, and that in the past has been a 5-second penalty. What a dramatic Monaco Grand Prix. Perez leads by 1.1 seconds in this race. Then it's Verstappen ahead of Leclerc by fine margins, but when he applied the throttle, if he's gone over that line, he's going to take the penalty.
And what is that penalty, Alex, in the normal conditions?
That's 5 seconds.
There you go. It can take it added to the race.
5 seconds, end of race lap time. End of race time.
End of race time.
So they can work with that.
Yes. It's not the end of the world.
So Gasly has got rid of his intermediates. He's going to put on the slick tyres. There's a car going over the road there. I believe it was Alex Albon in the Williams. It's all getting a bit hairy out there. Well, they were playing it safe, and when you've got the fastest cars in the field, you can understand that. Then they went to the Inters, but Carlos had the feel for it. 0.6 of a second for the lead of the race at the moment, and that's very, very close to contact between Zhou Guanyu and Mick Schumacher, and that is all in the way of the race lead. That is why they're nose to tail. We've got a battle for... He's nearly lost it. He's nearly lost the car, and Carlos Sainz's heart will be going like a jackhammer, because that was very nearly the end of his race.
He knew there was an opportunity, and as he tried to apply the power in the dirty air, not enough downforce, and in a massive moment.
And that was in the pit straight, the pit lane exit involving Perez has been noted. So were we on board with Perez at that moment in time when he crossed the line?
I think they both went wide. I think they both may have got over that yellow, but let's wait and see. They've got all the cameras that are necessary. Meanwhile, Carlos just needs to compose himself.
This is Max. Now watch that yellow line. Does he cross it right at the end?
It's Max Verstappen, and it's over the line.
Oh.
Verstappen two behind. Yeah, stay cool.
George Russell. It's absolutely fearsome out there. He is not too far away. He's 13 seconds away from the lead of the race. And in clear air, he is flying. He's doing a 1:21.0. The race leader's doing a 1:21.2.
There was hard tyres, working well on the Mercedes, and Russell full of confidence.
I smell something burning, but I don't know from which car.
That's our brains.
Fingers crossed it's not your own car. But he's absolutely right. Your senses get attacked on this racetrack because there's so much more going on. It could be someone having a barbecue.
I tell you what, this is hard right now for Sergio Perez, who's trying to pick himself through the traffic. Oh, and there's a crash there for Mick Schumacher, and that will be a red flag. That will be upgraded to a red flag. Kevin Magnussen looks on in the pit lane. He had retired before, but Mick Schumacher has had a big crash, and that virtual safety car will be upgraded to a red flag because that is a huge accident right now, and as a result we have pulled away from those pictures. A frenetic Monaco Grand Prix will be interrupted, I'm sure, once they assess what's gone on down there, and Mick Schumacher has had an enormous accident.
Well, whilst we wait for the news, then there is a sizable Tech Pro barrier there and some runoff. We saw Daniel Ricciardo drop the car in free practice. So, yeah, it's here, team radio.
I'm okay, I just don't understand it.
Well, that's the most important thing. So Mick Schumacher saying he's all right, but look at that. He's out of the car, which is the most important thing, but the car in two pieces. And it's just not meant to separate at that point. It is meant to break apart at certain velocity, but not in that way. And let's have a look at what happened to Mick then through the swimming pool section.
Dropped it early and then comes right across here and then just, yeah, slid very hard into that. Watch him arrive into the scene if he left a screen. Backwards, sliding 360. There's the front wing following him in. But looks like he's just dropped it on the way into the park. Oh, look at that, yeah. So he's given that barrier a tune-up, and that will need, as Alex has said, a bit of a repair job, I think, in terms of making sure that is safer. Here we go on board. He comes through the first part of swimming pool. Where does he drop it? Just see on the right there. Yeah.
So full safety car has been deployed. Mick Schumacher is all right. Kevin Magnussen's frustrated, having had to retire. He sees his teammate do the same thing. That barrier is going to need to be repaired. That's going to have to be a red flag. Race control are not having their finest day.
They're not. They've all year they've been slow to make decisions. I think fear of making the wrong decision is making them make no decision at all.
Is he okay?
Yeah, he's okay. Driver, okay.
rain expected until the end of the race. Everyone expected to go to the end.
Perfect.
As you look at a replay of Mick Schumacher finding the barrier, we had a virtual safety car when the car was in two pieces. We had a safety car when the barrier was clearly beyond repair. And now we have a red flag. And we'll take a pause in a dramatic Monaco Grand Prix.
competizione e adesso si dovrà aspettare qualche minuto perché la gara è sospesa.
Yes, red flag. The race has been suspended while repairs are made. of racing. Allora, a 17:15 è l'orario ufficiale di ripartenza di questo incredibile
And box now, box now, box for hard. Stay out, stay out, stay out.
What I'm doing?
Tire, position 5.
So George, we have some rain west of here. It doesn't look like it will hit us, but it's not completely possible that there will be some more towards the end.
we are underway once again behind the safety car, but this is the official resumption of the race. We'll have a rolling start when the safety car peels in, and due to the rules, you can have a free pit stop at this point to change tyres, and we've seen a difference in the strategy because Ferrari are out there on the hard tyres, but we do see Perez and Verstappen on the medium, and the mediums were projected to go 40 laps, so interesting to see what the rest of the field have done here. And now Sergio Perez will begin to back the pack up, the driver who was on the podium here in 2016. Another wet, dry day. He's got very similar circumstances, and he's got a green flag on the racetrack. Here we go again. The Monaco Grand Prix, the restart then for Perez as they try to find their way through, and it's easy does it out of the Anthony Noel corner, named for the founder of the race, racing in these parts since 1929, and Sergio Perez doing everything he needs to in the opening meters of the restart.
It's a very cautious restart. I've got to say, everyone was very tentative coming through the final corner, through the first corner as well. No one really, as you can see, hassling and hustling the back of the cars in front. A massive lockup.
Lockup, will he make the corner into Mirabeau? That is why he was tentative. Tyres screeched, but he did make the corner and he keeps the race lead.
Yeah, the tyres screeched. Flat spot.
Yeah, and that was a tyre that obviously Ferrari didn't feel that they could get to the end anyway, so could be an opportunity for Carlos Sainz in second position. This is Fernando Alonso carrying Lando Norris, his old team. Fernando Alonso, 2 stints with McLaren, back in Formula One with Alpine. For days like today, he actually said on the Drivers' Parade he preferred it dry, less of a lottery, but he's got the conditions he wanted now. He was close, but not close enough to shape for the move. And the massive differences that we saw in grip earlier on have evaporated, and we're back into dry Monaco running. George Russell was told on the radio shortly before we had the restart that there could be a bit of rain. Hamilton looking very, very quick compared to Alonso as the Mercedes tries to fire up its tyre. Alonso on the same compound as well, so there's no difference there. They're both on the yellow wall medium Pirelli, as 1 second for the lead of the race. Perez, Sainz, Verstappen, Leclerc, then Russell, Norris, Alonso, and then the driver we're on board with, Lewis Hamilton.
The hard runners here, the ones on the hard compound, will not be wanting any safety car intervention. It's basically a 38-minute race to the flag now, but they will want to at least try and expose a little bit of these medium runners towards the back of this stint, towards the checkered flag, which is probably unlikely, but it still gives them a chance to see if the slightly softer compound runners will run into any issues with their degradation.
Different teams as well bring the tyres in at a different rate, so maybe Russell just taking it easy in the early laps, knowing that he's got the margin. He was flying up to the back of the pack. Alexander Albon is on the fastest lap of the race. He's the driver in last position, and that really does fit in with everything that we've seen. So he was the last driver to clear the safety car, to unlap himself, but he hasn't yet caught up to the back of the pack. He's showing what's possible with a bit of clear air out there. The fantastic view of the back corners and then into the swimming pool section. This is our race leader, the Mexican driver, Sergio Perez, and he is getting closer and closer, but it's a long way still to go. Lap 35, fastest lap unsurprisingly, as he takes us across the line, gets the gap up to beyond a second, and we're on board with the driver in second position, Carlos Sainz, trying to win his maiden Grand Prix today.
Okay, 29 laps expected, Max, from here, 29 laps.
Okay, good information from the engineer. Doesn't need to be an Einstein. To work that one out to tell the driver that that's the laps remaining from the pit wall. But from the driver's perspective, it's not easy to sort of calculate that, as it's a timed race now. So you can start to mathematically start to work that out from the cockpit. Okay, that's reasonable. I can manage these tyres for that sort of duration, or sort of work out the pace consumption against each other, if you like. So Verstappen's got that info. He's on the podium as we speak. The last step. He's got his World Championship rival behind him in Charles Leclerc. And Perez, my God, if he pulls this off, that'll be a big one, as
Ocon is given a 5-second penalty for causing a collision. That is closing the door on Lewis Hamilton. And now, remember the incident for Max Verstappen on the exit of the pit exit line.
Barely, because it was so long ago. geez, I don't know what's going on upstairs, but they're taking a long time to make decisions.
We're going to have to go and send you to have a word, David, if it goes on like this. Fastest lap again for Sergio Perez. Got a long way to go, and it's still damp parts off the racetrack. I mean, we saw on the restart lap, you're one lock-up away. That's even a few meters later. That's it. And that is the peril of Monaco. That is the fine balance, the precision required as they get back to where they were before on the slicks.
Don't know why, but Alonso's driving slow.
Copy. He's just been told to manage his pace as much as possible, just to keep you behind.
So we're on board with a man who used to be teammates. If you're a new Formula One viewer, these two were 1 and 2 back in 2007. Lewis Hamilton very unhappy that day that he was not given the strategy to compete with Fernando Alonso. It was the beginning of a fraying relationship, which would see Alonso leave the team, go off into the wilderness. They were not the best of friends there, and Hamilton remarking on that. 0.6 of a second away, and Alonso right now 4.9 seconds on the medium tyre. So are they doing all of their tyre management at this stage? You've got a time on the left-hand side of your screen at the moment, because that's all part of the 3-hour window. So we had the 65-minute delay when we were meant to start at 3 o'clock. That starts a 3-hour window, and then when we get to 2 hours, regardless of whether the race has started or not, we go underway. Fastest lap of the race goes to Carlos Sainz, who's trying to keep it at 0.8 of a second, trying not to let Perez get comfortable. That is what he is trying to do, trying to heap the pressure on, trying to force the error. And realistically, that's his best chance. Difference in compounds, I'll remind you, between the Ferraris and the Red Bulls, but it's Carlos Sainz with the fastest lap of the race. And if he gets tyred egg, could be in for a grandstand finish. 34 minutes of racing to go then. Finally poised, and the Williams are at the back of the field at the moment. It's a good improvement for Gasly. He was up 5 places using that intermediate tyre in the first part of the race, up 5. And Bottas has improved a couple of places from where he started. Ocon is up 1, the loser in terms of positions from the start of the race. Charles Leclerc, all coming undone for him through the pit stops. And the so-called Monaco curse, will it continue? He has never seen the flag in his 2 races in Formula 2 and his 3 races in Formula 1. He looks set to change that. He has not been all over the back. He is maybe just considering he can't afford to lose many more points. At the moment, it's a bad day, but it's 3 points lost on a day where he would have been dreaming of that Monaco trophy. Sainz again, showing his intent. Fastest lap of the Grand Prix.
He's brilliant through this section of the track. Carlos Sainz is very confident through Casino Square on the brakes down here. It's very bumpy, a lot of warp in the track, a lot of camber, so the Ferrari likes that. Watch this, sort of nearly locks the front left into there, but that's a super slow corner, strong through the 2 Portier corners here. But the back end of the lap, Perez looks a little bit more comfortable, so he's just controlling him in the right sections to sort of release that pressure valve off in the mirrors as we go on board with Carlos through here. He'll just be trying to get some information on how comfortable Sergio is here on the brakes. Of course, very experienced campaigner in front of him. Sergio's not very experienced in this situation, closing a Grand Prix out, going for it would be without doubt the biggest victory of his career, no question about it. It's his 3rd win, but to win here would be absolutely massive for him. And pressure's on, pressure is on.
Winner of the Sakhir Grand Prix in an extraordinary 2020 season. The winner last year after Max Verstappen had the puncher late on, and he picked up the pieces for his team that day after Lewis Hamilton had sailed on by at turn number 1 on the restart. I got Mr. Webber rather excited, if I recall, from that Baku commentary box, and then he was able to convert. Fernando Alonso driving on his mirrors at the moment. So it's 2 wins. He's been driving since 2011, Sergio Perez. These chances do not come around very often. Sainz isn't going to let him off the hook, though. But we're looking at the battle for 7th place, because we just see Alonso has dropped 14 seconds off the back of Lando Norris since we restarted the race.
Yeah, Fernando is 4 seconds per lap off the guys in front of him. So as Lewis mentioned before on the radio to Bono, he doesn't quite understand why Fernando is running at the speed he is, as DRS is enabled. It'll be comforting for Carlos there. But yeah, Fernando at this point, for some reason, is very much controlling his pace. Whether he's got a problem, who knows? Or they're trying to help back Hamilton into Ocon, his Alpine teammate.
Doesn't seem like Verstappen is quite as comfortable. Again, he probably would want to stay a little closer to the back of Sainz. He's at 1.5. Sainz was just outside of the DRS activation as well. Are we going to see a little Monaco kiss? No, what we're going to see is perfection.
Sainz on the radio.
Any sign of training on Checo? Not yet.
So Sainz worked out that you need the slick tyre earlier on. He knows what's going to bring the Mexican driver into his clutches.
Send the no threat from behind, right? So surely I can just push now and try and make a mistake ahead. If you don't want me to push, what the hell am I meant to do? Just sit here. Okay, Lando. So we are happy to push, as you said. We think there might be 23 laps remaining. The key thing would be if rain came towards the end, that we had some rubber left on the tyre to deal with it.
How far are they ahead?
More case of how close they are behind Lewis. Londo's pace is very slow in comparison.
Sorry, they're behind me?
They are 30 seconds away at the moment, 30 seconds.
If we're doing any stopping, make sure we jump this guy in front.
Science went straight on.
Copy.
So we're under 20 minutes to go in this Grand Prix. There are 3.4 seconds. Ferrari now hoping that the medium compound disappears. At the moment, Sergio Perez is about 7 laps away from catching the back of this train, which is nose to tail. So at his current pace, he does have the race lead, but he's really going to be under pressure, trying to sift his way through. Remember when Sainz got under half a second for the lead when Perez was trying to pick his way through the traffic? That could well be an issue again later on. Something for Red Bull to monitor. We're riding on board with the world champion, the new championship leader after the Spanish Grand Prix, and he is trying to apply some pressure, trying to force the error. There was an error last time out. If Sainz does that too many times, he would be given the penalty. Saw that for Alex Albon earlier on in the race. Norris running in no man's land. The gap between Norris in 6th position and Fernando Alonso in 7th is 52 seconds now. And just looking at how quickly that has developed, it is really, really unusual to see that sort of gap. So a clear problem for Alonso, and he is restricting everyone at the moment. Hamilton just had to drop back. Alonso continuing to push on, actually on a personal best, so Hamilton unable. Maybe Alonso's just gone through the phase where he's able to look after things. Very confusing picture.
Just gone 1 second quicker from nowhere. Whether he's just been playing games with Lewis and just had some old memories of the past or what, but anyway, Fernando's having some fun out there, and he's now decided to pull the trigger and release some speed. So yeah, that is 1 second quicker than his previous tour.
So it's the drivers that you would, not in a harsh way, but looking at the results of this season so far, called the number 2s, who are ahead of the championship contenders. Charles Leclerc with another Grand Prix Sunday at his home race. The track grew up a couple of streets away from the main straight here. Caught the bus to school from a stop on the pit straight here, and this is going to be Zhou Guanyu. Whoa! Very nearly dropping it into the barrier and collecting it all up.
Catch of the race, unquestionably. And, well, no harm in trying, but he found out what it's like braking without downforce. brilliant reactions not to nail into the back of the car he was racing.
Fernando Alonso has just done the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. I mean, he's on the wind-up, isn't he?
He's had an absolute wind-up, yep. That has been a message. And, yeah, 15.8.
Instead of 15.8, the leader did a 17.9 last time around. What a strange day it's been in the Principality. Perez won't mind about all of it. He is 15 minutes away from having a conversation with David as the winner of the Monaco Grand Prix, and it doesn't matter how it comes your way, it just matters that you convert it. Lando Norris has taken Mark's advice. He's coming to the pits.
I tried. I need a new pants after that.
He tries, he needs new pants after that, as Norris puts a set of mediums on with that free pit stop margin over Fernando, so he'll have some fresh boots if there's a safety car, or he might get the fastest lap, who knows, but it's worth banking that. But I don't know what time it is in Mexico, mate, but I'll tell you what, there's going to be a lot of Mexicans watching this Grand Prix to see their hero try and do something special. To win the Monte Carlo Grand Prix is something that he will never ever forget. The closing stages, it'll start to come to him now. He'll start to think, this is about to happen. The barriers that can, in your head, you might think that they start to move around. The games in your own psychological sort of closure of this race can be tricky, but he will, Joey's experience, I'm sure, and just roll this one out.
If we're going to get any more rain, it's going to come right about now. So it is a fascinating situation that we've seen across this Grand Prix. B drivers at the head of the field. There's not much between them. It's just 4.2 seconds, as it has been since the restart. It was all decided with those moments in the pits and double stacking for Ferrari when the barometer was out there, when Carlos Sainz, you had Gasly going very quick on intermediate tyres, but being reduced to a wet tyre pace. Perez went first for that tyre. He absolutely roared up to the back, just cutting into the advantage that Leclerc had. He took the lead.
At lap time 18.0, try to put pressure on him, and lappers in front.
Yeah. And then from that point, he switched to the hard tyres. He retained the lead. No word from race control about Max Verstappen being investigated, so assume that he was on the line.
Yeah.
You're off to Roland Garros, Mark. On the line.
Yeah, on the line.
And it would have been fine margins. We didn't need Hawkeye for it either.
Oh, yeah, well, they're the fine margins, and it will be a relief to Max that he's got away with that. But, you know, it hasn't been his weekend, but this is the Champions Drive, knowing when you've got to bank the points. Podium here at the moment for him has not shown the Verstappen-esque pace we see so often from him, and is often the benchmark in terms of these type of circuits. But anyway, it's interesting. That is off on radio.
Esteban, we have a 5-second time penalty. We need to push up, please.
Okay, he's been informed about his misdemeanor earlier in the GP, and what was interesting there is with Carlos's engineer just radioing through saying, look, that Perez has been doing 18 flats, or 18.0 I should say, for the viewers at home, and there's some lap traffic ahead. So when you're leading a Grand Prix and you come to lap traffic, it just gives you a little bit more pressure, something else to handle, a bit of disturbed air, a bit of break of concentration and sort of rhythm, and Carlos is making the most of that. So in 2 laps when they get onto the back of this traffic, he wants to make sure he's got cars ahead of him. Perez has got cars ahead of him, and in his mirror full of Carlos Sainz.
So Sainz giving it everything, trying to frighten him off the road, but they have caught the cars that we knew they would. It's Gaggle that are fighting as well. It's Joe Guan Yu, Nicholas Latifi, Yuki Tsunoda ahead.
Fernando is blocking Lewis, so he needs to push if possible.
Copy. Fernando's been informed.
Yeah, Nando's been told to get on with it, to try, and that was always the downside of backing everyone up. Ocon has responded. He's 0.8 of a second away from Hamilton.
Yeah, that's right. If Fernando has that whole group super tight, he'll push his teammate out of the points with that penalty. And interesting, the front left tyre, when you go to the external camera here, the front left tyre of Perez, have a look at the graining. He has got front left graining on that tyre. We know he had a lock-up into Mirabeau early in this stint on the first lap of the restart here. So, you know, he's carried this tyre for a while. This lock-up was, you know, not crazy, but look at the fronts. They are heavily grained right now. Look at them.
There you go. Yep. You can see what Mark is talking about in the middle of the tyre. That is not a tyre performing. And the man who made a career out of being a midfield runner and taking the Pirelli rubber faster than anyone else could manage to do so sometimes, just getting performance that others weren't able to do so, is backing up the pack at this moment in time. He will be desperate to catch the drivers in front. I know they're going to get the blue flags, but where you catch them here could be pivotal. Carlos Sainz doesn't want a second place in Formula One. He wants a first win. Here's the damage that Mark was talking about.
That's right. Look at that front left. He actually, the lockup is still sitting there a little bit, but both the whole front axle, and there's the right-hand side too. So it's really starting to tear that compound away, which will certainly for him feel like the front is not as sharp. It doesn't give him the grip he wants. Look at him in Lowe's hairpin. He's really got a lot of understeer there, so he's really struggling to rotate the front of the car around that. Carlos can see that. Carlos Sainz can see his front tyres. He can see Sergio's front tyres. He knows what pain he's in, which is, you know, red rag to a bull at the moment for him. Don't worry about that.
The man from Madrid, the Matador on the charge, trying to find a way through. That's the first time that he's shaped for a move. Perez is in all sorts of trouble at the moment. The medium tyre is falling away. And a few moments ago, Mark Webber was talking about the thoughts that you have when you're closing out victory in the Monaco Grand Prix. Well, Sergio Perez won't be having any of them because his mind will be on fire right now. He's got 3 cars directly behind him. He's clinging on to victory.
Tell me the reason, please.
For the collision with Hamilton, you've been penalised.
Okay, so you crashed into me, we got the penalty, yeah. That's very clear.
Sorry, mate. Head in the gate. Come on, mate, let's give it oral.
So who went deep? Yuki Tsunoda went deep into the first turn. Okay. So that was why we had the yellow flag. It's now clear. And Perez is still going to come up against Joe and Latifi battling over position. So that is for track position. Look, they are battling as well for position. That's a nightmare scenario. He's got no medium tyres left, and he's got back markers scrapping over what is 15th in the Grand Prix.
There's Christian Horner. He'll be nervous, but he knows he's got an experienced campaigner behind the wheel to try and close this victory out, which will be a popular victory in many ways for Sergio. He's a very likeable lad. No question about that. And the graining might be cleaning up a little bit. You go through a few laps of absolute misery. Christian Horner is absolutely praying that this race will, the checkered flag comes sooner rather than later. Here's Max's radio.
Doing check up the stars.
Yeah,
that's our analyst, mid-race analyst in 3rd position in the Monaco Grand Prix.
Yes, talking about rubber as well. So you know, Sergio is managing these fronts as best he can. And what happens now also, when you have no front grip here in Monaco, the rear tyre gets a really easy life. So that will actually help him in terms of defending his position in some way, because he'll get good traction, he'll get good drive into the tunnel. Look at this again now. Carlos is having another crack. Watch this down into Mirabeau. He sits in the middle of the road, braking on the camber there. Now watch the hairpin. He's going to be very close here again. He's going to be all over him right through. Look at he's going to shallow line out of there. Max is right on the back of Carlos.
4th, pushing 3rd, pushing 2nd, pushing for the win in Monaco, heading into the tunnel. This is one of the best overtaking opportunities, one of the only overtaking opportunities here, flashing through the tunnel at huge speed. We've seen a shake for the move. Can we see a dive? Not this time, but Carlos Sainz is beginning to believe.
Oh, heating up, ladies and gentlemen. 6.5 minutes to go. This bloke's got a grandstand seat here. Don't worry about it. He's going, boys, just take each other out. I can win the race from here. But, you know, this is coming in waves from Carlos. He's actually sitting back, going again. Another lap off, then 2 laps of pressure. So, is he going to try and orchestrate a move somewhere here? It is extremely, extremely tight and claustrophobic in basically all sections of this track in terms of trying to get a move done. He's got the DRS open there, as we know. Short straights, it's not powerful for him. But let's watch again. Can he create some more pressure through this section of the circuit where Sergio has been struggling for speed? To through here. Very, you know, and Sergio will just be looking in his mirrors every now and again. You don't need to be looking to watch this.
This is the chance. This is where Sainz comes alive. He runs deep, then he cranks on the lock. He tries to get that power down earlier. He's trying any line possible, almost stationary at the slowest part, and you see that's giving an opportunity for Verstappen, but he's just trying different lines to get the traction down early. Sainz waiting, didn't work for him this time, needs to try. Actually, in the Formula 2 race, the best line through there was mounting the pavement on the inside. Théo Pourchaire was excellent at doing that. That gave him momentum in the Formula 2 race. Sainz going to the wrong part of the track there from the evidence that we saw earlier on today.
Yep, no, you're right, Alex. He did get too wide in Lowe's hairpin there, so he lost time. He tried to get high and try something different, but it looks like he picked up some marble, just got out of the racing groove, and the grip was low there, so that really hurt him on this lap. That'll go into the computer for this next few laps to see if he can try and again just put some more heat on Sergio. I tell you what, Perez will be nervous now. This is nervous time for him. He knows this is. He's got lap traffic ahead, blue flags. There's not much more stress that Perez has to be able to handle, let me tell you right now.
It would be his best victory in Formula 1. He knows he might never get this opportunity ever again. He's seeing how much Sainz is pushing. The degraded medium rubber is not the grippiest. Sainz is trying for a run here. Now does he know he doesn't go to the inside and mount the apex like we saw earlier on? Can he get the exit through Portier corner to shape for the move? We've got a yellow flag in the first sector of the racetrack. Tsunoda might be in the barrier here. Yuki Tsunoda, has he got it going? He's slow there as he recovers, so it was Tsunoda deep once again. Green flag is out as he recovers to the racetrack, but look, Tsunoda was battling these two earlier on. Ahead of Sainz is Sergio Perez, but ahead of Perez, the drivers of Latifi and Zhou causing another headache. He's got no tyres left, he's got back markers in the way, he's got 4 minutes between him and the final lap of the Monaco Grand Prix.
Absolutely incredible stuff from these four. I mean, you got Charles Leclerc will be pulling his hair out. He'll be like, how am I not at the front of this queue? How did the team bomb this result for me? Sergio did a brilliant call and get to the intermediates. He's teed this up beautifully. We've got a few laps to run here. And I tell you what, as you said before, mate, it's really the guys that we didn't expect to get this type of result here. Perez to win in Monaco, come on, what a result for him. And Carlos, this is a much-needed tonic for him in terms of confidence, although he would love the victory naturally. But to get second place here today for him after a wretched season, to be fair, it'll be nice. The champagne will taste good for Carlos as well today. So, he's ran wide there. He's pivoting that rear axle round there. They're fighting so hard, and let me tell you, their heart rates will be very high. Again, he's nearly lost the rear on the way into Portier too.
It's unbelievable this. The top three in the Monaco Grand Prix are separated by 0.8 of a second. Can Verstappen look for second position at this moment? Not this time. Latifi is the driver ahead of the top four in the Monaco Grand Prix. Perez is managing it now. He will hope to catch this car at the right point of the lap. Hugh Bird will have been speaking to him from the pit wall all the way through this one. They won the Azerbaijan Grand Prix together last year. They're getting close to victory in Monaco. Sergio Perez, who's been second in 3 races this season, that matches the rest of his career combined before this year. But he's only got 2 victories in Formula 1. He's getting close to making it 3, but he's under all sorts of pressure as he picks his way past the last back marker that's going to affect his race.
Yeah, that's right. That's very important for him. So peace of mind now. It's back to just his own pace and a clear track in front of him. And, you know, as a race leader now, closing out a GP here, the most important part is the next 3 or 4 corners here. He needs to be tidy in Mirabeau, tidy in Lowe's, and then get a really good run out of the final right-hander here in terms of entry into the tunnel. And then the bottom section of the circuit, swimming pool to back, Rascasse, virtually impossible to pass. So this corner here, at this point of the race, is the most important corner. Get out of there cleanly, clean run into the tunnel to protect yourself on the brakes into this next, the biggest braking point of the lap.
Sergio Perez is chasing a Mexican Grand Prix record. Currently stands at 2. He's at 2, and so is Pedro Rodriguez. And he's actually paying tribute to Pedro Rodriguez with his helmet here in the design of the driver that he's equal with in Mexican Grand Prix history. Pedro Rodriguez won in 67 and 70, but Perez would take that record today with a 3rd Grand Prix win. He's getting closer now. Here's Norris.
Perez is backing off to get the lap count down, so it might be 3 including this one.
Mate, it doesn't matter, I'm pushing, alright? No more comms.
Lando Norris is not thrilled with having to manage his tyres. Perez, the suggestion was from Tom Stallard on the radio that he's been managing it to try and get the lap count down, to try and not have to take that medium rubber further than he needs to. I also think they were conscious about running into the lap traffic.
That's right, mate. And you know what else is good for Sergio? The sun's come out. When he drinks the champagne, he's going to have sun on that podium. It'll be a brilliant moment for him. Here's Ferrari licking their wounds. How this slipped through their fingers today, God only knows, but it has done. And Perez right now, it's his to lose. He's got checkered flag this lap, mate, or not?
One more when the clock runs out. One more, and can Carlos Sainz regroup? Sergio Perez going to go up to third in the driver's standings. If this holds, he's only going to be 15 behind Max Verstappen. But I don't think many would have predicted that at the start of the season. This is round 7 of the World Championship. The clock is about to tick down to 0. And here we go then with Sergio Perez, who will get the message that he's very nearly there. The man from Guadalajara brings it across the line, and he is on to the final tour. He gets the message from race control. You've got 2 miles between you and becoming a Monaco Grand Prix winner.
He will start to believe now. Let me tell you right here and now, he knows this is right in his hands. He's going to start to not get emotional yet, but I tell you what, this is a huge moment in his career. Yes, he's very experienced. He's had a couple of wins, we know that, but actually to hold off these the caliber that's behind him, in such a, he's been quick all weekend, hasn't he, mate? This is not a fluky victory. He controlled this. He's been strong in quali. Brilliant strategy with the Inters. Thanks very much. Thanks for coming, guys. I'm the man here today, and I deserve the win.
Sergio Perez has managed the tyres. He is streaking clear of Carlos Sainz. Hardly anything between the top 4, but only a mistake can rob him now as he looks forward to win number 3 in Formula 1. But by far his sweetest victory is just 1 sector away now for a man who maintained the lead. He was under huge pressure at points. Sainz shaped for the momentum. He is going to be second for the 2nd year in a row here. Verstappen will chase him home. But what a moment for Sergio Perez, who was disappointed last time out that he wasn't able to challenge for the win. But Sergio Perez comes across the line to win the Monaco Grand Prix. His first win in the Principality. He takes his 3rd career win. That's the Mexican all-time record. His greatest day in Formula 1. Sainz comes home in 2nd. Verstappen completes the podium. And Charles Leclerc will wonder how that one got away from him. Red Bull have 2 drivers on the podium for the first time in the turbo hybrid era here. But the winner is Sergio Perez.
A tactical masterclass from the Mexican. Got him the victory. Very happy for him.
He fought in 2020 to stay in Formula 1 as we see Fernando Alonso come here. Here's the winner.
There you go. Monaco.
Oh, guys. This is us. Come on. Vamos. Well done, guys.
Oh, yeah.
Jacques, you have won Monaco. Unbelievable drive. What a brilliant, brilliant drive.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much to everyone. So happy to be part of this team. Well done, guys. Well done to everyone. Amazing weekend. We just made it a bit harder there in the end.
Mexican flag hit the cockpit. I like that too.
And P4.
No words. No words. Aye. Season is long, but we cannot do that. We cannot do that.
He knows that got away from him today. And I just hope the FIA don't give Sergio a penalty for carrying a flag, mate. You never know these days.
Sorry for yesterday, guy. I said I will give you lots of champagne today.
And you found a flag. Nice.
Yeah, somewhere there was a Mexican flag.
Awesome.
unsurprisingly, driver of the day and the winner of the Monaco Grand Prix, having withstood an enormous charge from Carlos Sainz, who returns to the podium. And Charles Leclerc was magnanimous with his team 1 week ago, telling them on the radio today it's unacceptable. Ferrari, he feels, need to tighten up on strategy.
He can't wait to get out of this car. Look at that, these mechanics. He gave him some work to do last night. He just apologised for the damage he did cause in qualifying in that incident that he had. And there you go. Whoa, son, he's out the back door. He's gone back into the cockpit. He's nearly, yeah, mate, wait till you get to the swimming pool. You can do some backflips, mate. But look at that Mexican flag draped over. Victorious car, fantastic. Yeah, he does. Yeah, here he goes. What an absolute brilliant day for him. He will never forget this, trust me.
Well, to quote a wise man, not bad for a number 2 driver. Okay, DC has made his way to downstairs. He is speaking first of all to Carlos Sainz in 2nd position.
Carlos Sainz, starting with yourself. Carlos, sorry. I can see a little bit of disappointment on your face. So close, but yet 2nd place. Put us in the cockpit. That was a crazy race.
It was, but I felt like we did everything that we had to do out there. We stayed patient on the wets. We took the right decision to go until the slick. And yeah, a lap car, a terrible outlap there, stuck behind a lap car, cost me the race win today. So you can understand the frustration, because a clean outlap would have secured me the race win today, but it's how this sport is sometimes.
It is. It's one of the most difficult racetracks to try and predict where you'll come out on track. We heard you very early. In fact, we didn't hear another driver so early say, I want to go straight to slicks. That was a brave call. Was it because you knew that was your opportunity to try and get the win today?
Yeah, I knew it from halfway through the race. I started to see the first thing, I started to see the dry line, and I started to realize that it was going to go straight into slicks. I think we did the right call as we were leading the race, basically. Then we pitted for that hard tire. Obviously, hard is never easy on the outlap, but I had to do 12 corners, something like that, behind a lap car. That cost me at least a couple of seconds. That cost me a race win. Anyway, I'm not going to complain too much. I know that this sport is like that. Checo was unlucky in Jeddah. Obviously, today he did a great race, plus he got a bit lucky with myself, and in this sport it will turn around one day or later.
Just a quick word on when we saw Checo there graining on the tires. That was your opportunity. No point you felt like going all in?
I mean, you can see I have quite a lot of graining myself too, especially at the rear, which made the exit of the entry to the tunnel quite difficult to get close and to pass. A couple of times I was nearly really close to launching a move into there, but it was still a bit wet in the inside. Checo was braking quite late, so I think if I would have braked any later, I would have taken him out with me.
Well, look, congratulations on the 2nd place in what was a difficult weekend. Just moving on to our 3rd place finisher, Max Verstappen. It seemed that you never quite found the luck or found the routine, the rhythm around this racetrack through qualifying in the race. So finishing in front of Charles Leclerc, you must feel that this is almost as good as a victory.
Yeah, I mean, I did the best I could, of course, after yesterday. then once you got of course blocked with that red flag and qualifying, you start forward, and I tried to do the best I can. I think as a team, we did a really good job with the strategy to basically get ahead of the Ferraris, I think as a whole team we can be very pleased with the Sunday. I mean, it was a very hectic one with the rain and stuff, but I think we executed it well, and I extended my points lead, which I didn't expect last night, so I think that's a positive.
Just explain to the viewers, how difficult is it when you have these delayed starts, these red flag starts, to get back into the rhythm again?
Yeah, especially when it's wet and you haven't really driven around here in the wet, and the tires, of course, are very slippery. I think, it's all about just trying to be very focused. It's easy to make a mistake, of course, but luckily nothing really crazy happened apart from Mick, of course, but I heard he's okay. So, overall, quite a decent day.
Quick line on your teammate taking the victory, his third ever.
Yeah, no, an amazing result for Checo, so very happy for him.
Excellent. Max, congratulations on your podium result. And ladies and gentlemen, it may be only his third Grand Prix victory, but I suspect this is the sweetest feeling of all. Sergio Perez, congratulations on winning in Monaco.
It's a dream come true. I mean, as a driver, you dream of winning here. After your home race, I think there is no other more special weekend to win. So to do it and the way we did it, we just made it a bit harder for ourselves there at the end. But it was just, with the graining I had to not make any mistake, bring it home, but keeping Carlos behind wasn't easy.
Yeah, you are the tyre whisperer. You're the man that is renowned for being able to make the tyres work. But it looked in the closing stages as if even you couldn't make it work. We saw one lock-up at the restart. And the only other mistake I've seen is when you stood up to wave the Mexican flag, you slipped and fell back into your car.
I wanted to do another race. The graining was just clearing up, so I wanted to go back again on the car. I was super excited. I'm a CLR. It's a massive day for myself, for my country.
You are now the most successful Mexican driver ever in the history of Mexican Formula One. You can run for president.
I'm just very, very happy. I was running today. Pedro Rodriguez had met, and I'm sure up there he's super proud of what we have achieved together in the sport.
Yeah, you can indeed be very proud. Go and enjoy the champagne.
Thank you.
Up the hill after turn 1. Back for Williams. In slicks and so slow. I had the win. I probably signed too early.
1, 2, 3, team, champagne towards the track, please. Okay?
Towards the
champagne towards the track. Thank you.
Prince Albert, that's a shame.
The Prince is not in station.
He was the lead Red Bull driver on the grid. The first time in 20 years someone outside the front row has won the Monaco Grand Prix, and it needed to be a wet-dry race. His second podium here for Sergio Perez, but his first win. Sainz in the same position he was 1 year ago. Christian Horner, you know it's a special Grand Prix when he returns to the rostrum, and despite the fact he's had no balance at all this weekend, Verstappen finishes ahead. And we do this in a different order because it's the Monaco Grand Prix and everything is slightly different, for better, for worse. And here is a trophy that, when it's all said and done, he will hope it's not his last race. But if it is his last race, this is the one to claim. The winner's trophy from the Prince. And amazing stuff all round. The man they call Checo, Sergio Perez, winner of the Monaco Grand Prix for the first time in his career, and you can hear them partying in Guadalajara.
Voilà ce trophée de la deuxième place. Son Majesté Sérénissime a passé ce Charlène et a passé ce Gabriela. Trophée remis à Carlos Sainz, le pilote de Ferrari, en deuxième position à l'issue de cette épreuve.
That's not the one he wanted, but he'll take it. As he said in the interview, his day will come. Max Verstappen with another podium this year on an off-kilter weekend. It's the first time he's seen the flag this season and not been first across the line after his 4 wins and victory in the sprint in Imola as well. They will treasure this back in Milton Keynes. And Christian Horner immediately to the team. Red Bull victorious in Monaco once again. You knew it was going to be high drama the moment the heavens opened, and Perez made sure it was him at the flag first. Sergio Perez has won Monaco. So Max Verstappen leads the Drivers' Championship ahead of Charles Leclerc. But look, closing in third position, Sergio Perez on 110, just 15 behind now. George Russell is 1 point ahead of Carlos Sainz. Hamilton, Norris, Bottas, Ocon and Magnussen round out the top 10. No score for Daniel Ricciardo, no score for Yuki Tsunoda. Fernando Alonso, strange tactics in the mix there, but he did add a couple of points to his total in 13th. Then it's Gasly, Vettel, Albon and Stroll. Zhou Guanyu has the single point. Schumacher, Hülkenberg and Latifi yet to trouble the scorers. In the Constructors' Championship, it's Red Bull on a healthy lead now of 36 points ahead of Ferrari, and then Mercedes in third. There is no change in this order, but McLaren have 59 points. Alfa remain in 5th position. Then it's Alpine, AlphaTauri, Haas, Aston Martin and Williams with 3 points in 10th position.
What a Monaco Grand Prix that eventually was. A week is a long time in F1. Checo went from a pawn in Verstappen's championship to the winner of the Monaco Grand Prix. Wow! Charles Leclerc, meanwhile, might want to think about relocating to a different home Grand Prix. He cannot catch a break in Monte Carlo. Let's take a breath. We have a champagne-sodden Christian Horner, a miserable Mattia Binotto, and an oh-so-consistent George Russell after the break.